5 years. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Unusual Suspects. We have got a banger for you guys here today. We got a lot of stories that we're going to go through. I'm going to cover them really quick, but just to go around really fast, we have Tom the Biz Doc. We have freaking Humberto in the house. We have David Frei. And guys, one of our, maybe if not our favorite unusual suspect, Ian Carroll, is in the house. He cut his hair. You look like a freaking stud.
Cut it just for you, Vinny.
That looks like, question though, more girls, more attention without, like, shorter or longer?
I don't know. I'm busy.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about, bro. I gotta keep all that craziness inside so I can talk crap to the world. But Ian, I love you, bro. Thank you for being here.
It's like a living, walking page 6. He already knows.
He knows, Tom. He's already ready to go. Who was it? Oh yeah, Julius. When he walked in, Julius was like, man, what the hell? You guys have a guy taller than me coming in this place, and he's tall as shit.
Super tall.
How tall are you?
6'6".
Oh, 6'6". Ladies. Yeah,
when I stand next to Ian, I literally feel like a 10-year-old girl. Like I'm looking up at his,
dude, did you,
and his hands are big and his arms got
I'm
a big
getting back problems from always being like this onto microphones. I gotta like.
Oh yeah, sit back. Bob, you know what he did when he saw me? Like you shook his hand. He picked me up and started burping me. I go, why are you burping me?
Look at our knees. Like his knees have to come down after. Like mine barely make the touch
I
the
knew
floor.
this time when I came in, I knew to wear pants instead of shorts because it looked super.
Your
funny
testicles were hanging out last time. Yeah.
Last time it was like.
Bro, if I was 6'6", everybody that talked to me that was shorter than me, I would just slap him on the head. Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing? But anyway, all right, guys. So here are the stories for today. We're going to talk about South Korea having a martial law, which is pretty wild. We're going to be talking about Daily Wire and some situations that are happening over there. We're also going to be talking.
Speaking of coups.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of coups, we're also going to be talking about some of these COVID theories that weird. We were right the entire time. And then we're going to be talking about Pokémon Go as well. So we have a lot of stories, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, Eric Mayer Adams, he's had such a turbulent couple of years. He's just riding this roller coaster wave. He announced yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, he shifted his policies. He's supporting deporting migrants from New York City, and who have been charged with crimes even before convictions. That's a little gray area, but I respect it. He said, my position is people who commit crimes in our city, you have abdicated your right to be in the city. He also revealed plans to meet Tom Homan, the border czar, to discuss the city's approach to legal immigration. You know how that meeting's going to go. You're an idiot. You caused the problem. I'm going to fix it. I love that guy, bro. I would love to have be like a Thanksgiving dinner with him, and he's drunk. You know what I mean?
Tom
There's a
Homan does
massive
not get
Freudian
drunk.
slip in that.
What happened?
In that slip, Eric Adams, who abdicated his responsibility to the people, actually gives a quote and uses the word abdication.
Abdication, yeah.
There's a Freudian slip.
There's a big-time Freudian slip. And also he said he wants to collaborate with the Trump administration. This policy change comes because, guys, I don't know if you've been following the news. New York is hell on earth. It's Gotham City. I'm from New York, bro. All my aunts do is complain. All my cousins are complaining. You can't walk around the streets. I love how the left makes it seem like, what are you talking about? Manhattan is good. I go, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You live on the Upper East Side. You're up in your freaking Robert De Niro freaking high-rise. You're not affected, but the people in the street are. So they've had over 200,000 illegals coming in this past couple years. And the mayor's stance reflects a departure from previous policies that awaited convictions before considering the deportation. Here's a video of him yesterday, just a completely different man. You know what I mean? He's actually the problem. He caused the problem. Now he's trying to fix it. Go ahead, play this clip.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
It's not complicated. No.
Open to
hearing what their plan is.
Innocent people.
Yeah,
I think you could rape a guilty person, I guess.
Isn't that called prison?
Should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama.
Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city.
Oh, we
saw that.
I thought he was going to say Google Pizzagate.
They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state of in the
New York
era of cancel culture,
That's not too
no
bright.
one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
Oh, okay. All right.
Tough guy.
Tom, you made a great point that he just said about the art. What did he say that
He said raping innocent people.
Yeah.
And David and I looked at each other and says, I guess you can rape guilty people.
I don't.
But I thought that was called prison.
I thought.
It was definitely a weird caveat, not just raping people, but raping innocent people.
Innocent.
But by the way, I don't think he gets to like just wash his hands and say, look, now I'm part of the solution. You cannot have that much of a 180 on policy and then claim to be the righteous person when you were that wrong such a short period of time ago. He was shipping illegals to Canada, giving them a bus ticket and saying, go cross the border illegally into Canada in so many words. And they wanted New York to be a sanctuary city until it was too much of a problem. Yep. Then they want that problem to be Canada's problem. Yep. I mean, this guy is the problem. The fact that he's had some awakening now doesn't allow him to wash his hands.
It might be an upgrade.
Texas had bigger buses, and they were shipping them to New York.
Yeah.
They're
So
putting them up in whole hotels.
Yeah, Ian, what's your take on this whole thing?
Oh, it's kind of the Jeff Bezos. Like, you know how Jeff Bezos didn't endorse Kamala Harris this time because the writing's kind of on the wall. Like, we're about to live under Trump, and I want what's best for me. All of a sudden, it's like, looks to me like Mr. Adams is realizing that he's screwed if he stays in line with what he's been doing, and it's time to jump ship. And so now all the rats are jumping ship.
Every single rat. And then, by the way, so you guys noticed the fact, and Humberto, I'll come to you. He mentioned Hillary Clinton and Barack singing that same tune back in the day. Here's the clip. And mind you, they've all, and I'm just curious, and I want to ask all of you guys, what makes somebody change all of a sudden? Because anything that Trump says, they have to say the opposite. If Trump came out and says, I like air, CNN would be like this. Air is just unqualified to be air, and you know what? Trump is Hitler.
They'd be like,
not all air is good.
Yeah, everybody hold their breath till they died. Here's the clip of Hillary, and this is her attitude towards illegals. Go ahead.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
Dude, what a racist. She said,
Learn
what a
English?
Racist. Learn English.
Oh, my goodness.
What a racist. And then I want to play this one. All right, guys, this is the deporter-in-chief, Barack Hussein Obama, having the same kind of sentiment about illegal immigration. Go ahead and play this clip.
We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country. So that's why we need to start by giving agencies charged with border security new technology, new facilities, and more people to stop, process, and deport illegal immigrants.
So we're gonna.
It's almost like you can see of what is it called, like a mirage of what they were before they turned into globalist pieces of rubbish.
Yes.
Like he seems reasonable, saying what was politically palatable at the time or politically expedient at the time. Then they get into power. They realize their policies suck crap. They're going to lose the vote of the people who they already had. So they got to rush in tens of millions of illegal immigrants to expedite their citizenship to replace the voters that they've lost because of their bad policy.
I don't think I agree with that. And I want to remind us,
dare you.
Barack Obama was raised by the state, like he was raised by Lolo Soetoro. He did not become a senator by accident. He was already in. Hillary Clinton, Bill and her, they were smuggling cocaine through Mena, Arkansas. They were doing all these other things already. It's just what I think is happening is that at the time, the border thing was not yet a policy of the establishment. They were not yet paired with the cartels to traffic drugs and kids the way they are now. Yep. And it was before Occupy Wall Street. And so it was before they realized we need everyone to start talking about racism and like anything but the class divide. And so once Occupy Wall Street hit, suddenly, if you search Google, like if you look this up, all of these like gay, gender, racism, identity politics shoots through the roof because we need to divide everybody so they don't talk about rich and poor. And so I think what we're seeing is we're just seeing two good little two good little drones just doing regular stuff that was not a part of deep state policy at the time. Because at the time, they didn't need the border for trafficking the fentanyl, trafficking the children, pairing with the cartels and all that. And they didn't need to be talking about racism and sexism and all this stuff because they hadn't thought yet to do so because it wasn't yet, the people had not yet awoken to the class divide, right? So I would argue that I don't know as it was actually that they used to be good. I don't think they were ever good. Like Hillary is, at the time Bill was flying, like what year is that Hillary clip from? Bill was already fucking little boys with Jeffrey Epstein or whatever was going on there. So like, Barack Obama was already, let's just say that Barack's friend Mike was already out of the picture. So I don't know
if they were ever good.
I don't know if they were ever good.
I don't think that they were ever. I personally never trust. I've heard the story of the making of Barack from Andrew Breitbart. That guy. I mean, he was putting them on blast a long time, and then all of a sudden, when he was
Breitbart's death,
he ran out of a restaurant, and the eyewitnesses were like, "I've never seen somebody that color before. He wasn't choking on food, and it looked like he was somebody."
Well, but the coroner that did the autopsy, he ruled that it would, like, they figured out it was a suicide because the coroner that did the autopsy died the day that the findings came out. He had a heart attack.
Weird.
You know that?
Convenient.
It was this weird story where it's that's how you know it was a suicide.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think? What's your take on this whole Eric Adams, them changing their tunes?
Well, first of all, Eric Adams is sort of a man without a country at the moment, running for his political life. I think it's that simple on Eric Adams. He doesn't appear, is he doing an errand for somebody? Certainly not. Not right now. Doesn't appear to be. So. Is he cooperating with some bigger program? No. How do I know that? Because they're going after him.
Yeah.
He's not useful, so they went after him with the same lawfare they're going after him. It's like, dude, you're not doing it right. And he is reacting to, I believe, the pinch that happened with the Clinton voters in New York. You look at New York, New Jersey, and California. That is the ones that David Polloff was talking about from a political strategy standpoint of where it all narrowed in. People talked about New York and talked about California, but New Jersey was not far off. It ended up low single digits. And so Eric Adams is seeing the voters, seeing this. He's not currently in on somebody's program, so he is out there having to run for his political life. I think it's that simple, that he's a man without a country right now, and there's a man who's going to, come take his country named Andrew Cuomo, right? Who's going to come basically take his country. So that's what I think is going on with Eric Adams. I think Eric Adams is more simple than it is complex.
Got you. Humberto, what do you got to say?
I was going to take that because he goes back to the old policy. He's like Google or whatever, how he said it, like, Hillary and this guy. The problem here is the last 10 years of democratic policy. It's been getting really, really bad. Like, most people remember Bill Clinton fondly. They're like, oh yeah, I like that guy. Or you heard during the election, like, oh, I'm a Kennedy Democrat, because I despise them for being from the left, but they were reasonable. They were reasonable people. They had reasonable policies. A little bit more inclined for the unions, a little more inclined for rights and giveaways. But the guy is doing what he's just going back to normalcy.
I still wouldn't call it normalcy because to me the damage has been done. You can't invite a bunch of burglars in the house, then they steal all the shit, and then you're like, oh, what the hell are you guys doing here? Your family, what do you mean? You let them in the house, idiot.
They made New York into a sanctuary city. They made it into the shithole to the point where people are getting, assaulted on subway stations, to the point where now Eric Adams came out yesterday, I think, and defended Daniel Penny, the man who's on trial for allegedly killing, I say allegedly, killing, but allegedly murdering or manslaughtering.
Or defending an innocent people on the freaking train.
I think it's interesting. The man without a country, he's now public enemy number one for the left. I'm not convinced that the charges against him are not itself a cover-up, because those are some lame-ass charges if they're going after him for something. But clearly, I think he's worried about getting lynched by his own population because it's turned into a shithole to the point where now he's not politically safe or even physically safe in his own city. And so he's got to do a 180 from a sanctuary city and defy Trump and his racist border wall and deportation to holy crap, it's so bad that my own people hate me and I've got nowhere to go.
Yep. And
there's a high-profile murder today, just a couple hours ago.
Wow.
CEO of United Healthcare at the New York Hilton. You know the New York Hilton? It's right across from CBS and Simon & Schuster on Avenue of the Americas, like 57th, right there. They're having a, I don't know if it's a board meeting or a shareholders meeting or an analyst meeting, but CEO United Haircut gets out of the car, guy comes up, had been loitering, gunned him down, splits, escapes. There's no arrest right now, and he pumped 5 into the
That's
CEO
today?
CEO of what?
United Healthcare.
That sounds like a hit.
Dude, that sounds like a hit. Like, what vagrant has a gun and like homeless people don't have a weapon?
Shooting 5 times and then running and not robbing.
Tom, can you look that up? Because I was
the healthcare industry.
Yeah, that's a hit.
And all that,
that's
like,
weird. United Health, weird.
Now, Vinny, there's another important piece to this. He, if he doesn't resign or they go after him, he's done in December 31st of next year. So he has roughly a year. So I don't know what the plan is. Is he trying to fix whatever he did in a year? Is that enough time? Is there a chance of him getting reelected?
Absolutely not. There's no redemption.
But what is the left going to do? Are they going to come from the left again to the left, or is a Republican going to be?
I think he's hoping to appeal. I don't know. I think he doesn't have a chance of getting reelected. He's hoping to appeal to the more reasonable populist base that he acknowledges exists right now. Where the only people who are happy with New York, who's that chick whose boyfriend got stabbed to death, and then she's sitting there worried about the homeless guy that stabbed her boyfriend. I mean, he'll never get those people back on his side, and nor do you want them on your side. I think he sees a populist base to which he's got to appeal with just rational, common sense policy, which used to be the Democrats back in the day when Joe Biden had the drafted the tough on crime law. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Obama had reasonable, logical policies, which they then turned into racist policies, and now they got to turn back to it.
Did you guys? Can I just go over the timeline really fast? Hey, Connor, can you show this? Look at this. Look at flip-flopping Eric Adams. So this is his timeline. So January 2022, he takes office, and he reaffirms that it's a sanctuary city. Okay, August 22nd. They start getting buses from Texas under Governor Abbott's initiative. He criticized his action, but continued to uphold the commitment to providing shelters and services for the asylum seekers. October 22nd, he declares a state of emergency. All right? And then February 2023, he called for expansion cooperation between local police and federal immigration authorities, suggesting the current policies limiting such communication were detrimental to public safety. And then July, he announced that the city was running out of space and resources, whatever. September 23, Mayor Adams warned that migrant crisis could destroy New York City. And then February, he advocated to modifying the sanctuary policies. And then now December 22nd, all of a sudden, he's MAGA. And here's my thing. I don't care what the hell his attitude is and how he changes, Ian. What do you say to these families? What now you're all of a sudden you've seen the light. What do you say to all the family members of all the cops and all the people all the innocent people that were raped and beaten and robbed? Remember the Venezuela gang, Tren de Agua, were going on mopeds and bashing women over the head and robbing them and dragging them. What do you say to those people? Oh, I had a change of heart? To hell with that.
No, here's what he says. In February 2023, New York City, Eric Adams takes a shot at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And he says, welcome to New York City, Ron DeSantis. I guess this was on Twitter, where we don't ban books, discriminate against our LGBTQ plus neighbors, use asylum seekers as props. Says the mofo who sends them to Canada and ships them elsewhere. I mean, they're a bunch of outrageous hypocrites through and through, and he'll always be a Democrat because he'll always be a hypocrite.
No, I agree. And Ian, what do you think about? And we've been seeing it, obviously, guys, and you nailed it. The boss is coming back in, and when you see people like him, when you see people like Justin Trudeau and Zuckerberg, of all of them, which I don't trust, I don't give a shit how many UFC I'm training. You're a nerd. I don't give a shit what he effed us with his $400 million Zuckerbucks. He tampered in an election. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. And we had to deal with this 4 years because of people like him. He was one of the main culprits. What do you think? Why are they all turning around?
The Dems think he tampered in 2016 by not doing certain things that they wanted done.
Yeah, weird.
They have weird definitions of election interference, but I think that, so me personally looking at Kamala Harris, I feel like we're about to watch her disappear off the face of the earth. And I don't mean like that a euphemism for something. I mean like literally, you failed, your time has expired, politically we don't care about you anymore. I think that she's about to have the steepest fall off of the political, pinnacle she's been on. And I would assume that if you're a person like Eric Adams, these other politicians that have been super woke left, way out there being good little puppy dogs for that movement, I'd bet that they're starting to hear that kind of stuff behind the scenes and expect that, and see that, and they don't want to have a similar fate. Because if you failed at your job and your woke left movement is disintegrating, and if that establishment turns to a different tactic moving forwards, are you going to be useful to them? Are you going to have any place ever again? I think that people like him are starting to fear, not just for this position in this next reelection, whatever he's in here. I think they're looking at all the perks, all the benefits, all their political aspirations drying up, because what have they really done? When you get rid of the fake, the fake desire for these policies, their resume is shit, and they made it shit. So
there, and it's all. I mean, I get it. The other side's our side technically is you got to be graceful. You got to pardon. People were talking about pardoning Hunter. I mean, for a tactical. What I want accountability for every single person, because the people that were affected, the people that were killed, the people that lost jobs, all the people on that spectrum, they're going to get nothing. They're getting nothing. And I just hope to God, all these appointments, all this shit, it's not just talk, Ian. I want Kash Patel to get in to do his damn job.
Yes.
I want whoever the hell's going to be the DA. I want Tom Homan. I know he's going to do what he's going to do. But all these other people, bro, because we've been sticking around since 2015, bro. I've been verbally abused. I lost comedy shows. I was in Los Angeles, where if you even wore a red-looking hat, it was who the fuck, you were going to get your ass whooped. They were coming after you.
It's with Zuckerberg, you say not trusting him, and it's beyond that. Zuckerberg, and I'm not being hyperbolic, his actions killed people. His actions injured people. Literally. When you say,
Same with Eric Adams.
Election interference is one thing. Censoring COVID information is another. I believe that he has blood on his hands. You don't get to just say, I've had a change of heart, I'm the cool guy now. You've not just got to repent. You've got to be held to account legally. Yeah. And we'll get to that.
And go to prison.
They knew. There's whistleblowers that came out that said they knew that within a certain psychological profile of 12 to 15-year-old girls that were more quiet, more shy, that the constant comparison created depression, and that they could identify tendencies toward cutting and suicidal tendencies. Facebook knew it. They knew there were girls out there that were just a little bit more meek, a little bit more shy. In this world of constant comparison, do you get the likes or not, that were going down this rabbit hole that ended in depression and self-harm. They knew it. And so it's, to me, Zuckerberg and Meta, it's more than just COVID. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It's they knew what social media was doing. They knew what was going on, and they played into it and sold ads against it anyway.
All right, guys, we're going to move on. And listen, we're messed up. Our country has a lot of political craziness, but nothing compared to South Korea.
All right.
Yesterday when we were on the PBD podcast, me and Tom, and we're watching it live while Pat's, talking, because we want to be up to date. South Korea, Tom, had martial law happen and then a coup. What the hell is going on in I was going to say South Carolina. South Korea, Carolina.
Different problem.
So we're looking this up. Paul Adam was not saying anything for a really long time. And so which gave us a diversion. And we looked this up. And so 3 things happened in South Korea. And, if you look at them one way, it's this. If you look at them at another way, it's that. And Humberto and I were talking about this right before. So the first thing you found was your reigning president goes, okay, I'm declaring martial law. You can't protest, you can't say these things, and you cannot have demonstration around, I think they call it the National Assembly building.
Yeah, the National Assembly.
National Assembly building, which is
parliament.
basically their parliament or their Capitol Hill, right? Yeah. Basically. And so they do that, and then all of a sudden the entire National Assembly thinks about it overnight, and they come back the next day and go, hang on a second. And they vote 190 to nothing to say, no, we are repealing martial law right now. So on the surface, you're thinking, wow, is democracy working here?
Yeah.
Is this guy a little bit loose cannon at in the president's chair, and all these people, regardless of their party affiliation?
Why did he declare martial law? Or what was the pretext?
Civil unrest, and
there was civil unrest.
People were not stoked
protesting. On they were worried about a J6. Too many people coming to the National Assembly building. There was social media that was 80 and 90, 100 people, clusters at a time, saying, hey, let's meet at National Assembly, let's do this. So they're thinking they've got a J6 coming, or they think they've got just too much protesting, right?
The president was in hot waters for two things. First of all, his wife was involved in corruption deals. And the second thing is his approval rating was on the floor. He was at 20% approval rating. So that's not a good combination. You have civil unrest, you have some allegations of corruptions, and you have an approval rating of 20%. It's just recipe for disaster.
Hate you.
And they hate you. So this was a Hail Mary,
So exactly. Hey, Mary. Martial law. Everybody has to stay home. Can't do this. No demonstrations, no gathering, no public assembly permits will be issued. Stop. The Parliament, the National Assembly, comes out the next morning and goes, you know what, we thought about this overnight, and we think this guy, no, we're not with this. And they vote 190-0. Now, when does any parliament, Congress, or governing body in the world vote 190-0?
Never happened.
When they're voting to keep the Jeffrey Epstein tapes out.
Except whether it's voting, whether they think that Putin's last election was fair. And then, of course, everybody says in the Knesset, oh, you know what? We're good.
Yeah.
So they come out 190-0 and say no. And there's this other backlash coming out because it's like what's really happening. It's kind of what you're talking about, Eric Adams. Are those little trumped up charges really the charges, or is that the shiny object we're supposed to look at so we don't look at this steaming pile of turd? And this guy his wife was corrupt, but he was also allegedly corrupt, but he was also investigating everybody else.
Yes, he was.
So do you remember one of the Kennedy lines, which turned out to be true, was that Sam Giancana had a conversation that has been documented by people that were there. Whether he was part of the assassination or not is for another day. But what he said is, no, you know what? We can't kill Bobby because Bobby was out there as Attorney General persecuting and getting after the mob, except the mob that was aligned with his father. So it's like, except these guys, all mob is bad, except the home team. And so Sam Giancana in Chicago said, you know what? Somebody's going to kill Bobby. And somebody said, Sam, nobody can kill Bobby. Nobody should kill Bobby. Because if you think it's bad now, JFK and his dad will flip this country upside down and there'll be no trials. Don't do that. Don't do that to Joe Kennedy. And so they kind of understood it. And so I think about those things. I think about what's going on right now in South Korea is like his wife is allegedly corrupt, but he's out there investigating people similar to JFK was in the White House while his little brother was prosecuting everybody except his dad's goons.
Yeah.
And so is it a symbol of democracy on display, or is it a symbol of corruption colliding and falling out the door in front of everybody to see?
And then to put it to give some context of how the parliament there is, composed. Liberals or left-leaning people, they have 61% of the assembly. Like the Democratic Party of Korea, that is very similar to the Democratic Party here, like a little bit more left-leaning there. They have 170 seats, all right? And the Republican Party of Korea has 12 seats. So, and this happens all the time. The parliament overthrows, and Korea has a history of overthrowing, killing, assassinating their leaders.
Their barbecue was so good, though.
Wait, South Korea?
South Korea since 1948 till
So
now.
do they have a history of it?
Yeah,
Or does the
like I can
CIA
put
have a history
like
of
That's
it
what I was just gonna say.
in Korea.
no, they have a history in Korea. Like since 1948 till now, only one guy was spared. Like 1948, Sing Young Rei overthrown. The next guy overthrown. The next guy assassinated. The next guy removed by military coup. The next guy sentenced to death. And everyone except
Wait a minute. How did they get anybody to run for president in South Korea if this is a record?
You can see it now.
There's
only one guy spared.
So you're saying if I make it 24 months, I haven't been assassinated, that's like milestone number 1.
It is a milestone.
And then make it to 37 months and don't be overthrown, milestone number 2. And then retire and open a library, That's milestone number 3, except no one's ever done that.
Nobody's. Oh yeah, one guy did. It was the guy that served in 1990.
One guy.
So there's how many presidential libraries in South Korea?
Humberto, Connor sent me this. Apparently, the parliament.
And that guy doesn't deserve a presidential library. He deserves a statue everywhere.
Parliament has 300 members. Only 190 showed up for the emergency vote, and they all voted unanimously.
So,
my understanding was that they had to actually they either had to sneak in or like barge their way in, because there was actually like not just rioting, but like police and stuff. Like I saw videos that looked like it was actually a feat that they even got into
the thing
Parliament.
that Young Suk Yeol, the current president, he calls martial law, and the first thing that he did is putting troops around the parliament. So this didn't happen. So most of them, they had to fight. There's a lot of videos of them fighting, military personnel. I think the leader of the opposition, he did a live stream on top of the parliament after sneaking in through a fence. So like in my books, because I've seen this firsthand, I've been in countries that they're having soft coups. In my books, this is a leftist soft coup. And they're using all these excuses, but it's mostly leftists that are doing this. And within a year, you're gonna see the decline of South Korea, and it's already happening. Look what is happening with Samsung. Look what is happening with this, and we're gonna have a best Korea.
Where's Korea going? You got one of the 4 pillars of industrial nations right now in terms of output and growth. So one of those is going to drop. Who wins?
Nobody's gonna win. It's going the way of the West. Like you see what's happening.
CIA is gonna win.
No. Somebody's going to win the market share, right? So if South Korea shifts, you have to look at economics, right? Economics points to wars. Wars don't point to economics. Economics will point to why wars are wars. So if Korea shifts down, who's picking up the market share and in what sector?
I'll say China. In all sectors.
Did you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
What I love, I tried to follow what was going on in South Korea. There was a journalist out of New York who wrote a massive thread.
Matt Kim?
It's a black and white avatar. It's a young woman.
I saw that thread.
And so I read it. And I mean, I'm not well versed in South Korean politics. I just get very skeptical whenever the pretext of avoiding a January 6th is used. I'm like, oh, this is another manufactured crisis by the government in order to invoke martial law for whatever. But I have no depth of understanding of what's going on in South Korea. It's just ironic that in defending its democracy, South Korea is enforcing martial law, which looks a lot like North Korea. So it's going the way of the Koreas.
Except if you look at the satellite pictures, there's no lights in North Korea.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little more.
It's kind of crazy.
Good night skies out there.
So what's their stat like? So today, what's the
It's
status?
developing.
What's the status?
He's back to president.
All right. Some of his cabinet members, they quit last night. A lot of them, they just cowered out. And he's most likely going to be impeached and trial for treason. That means death.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I wonder what Kim Jong-un is probably laughing his ass off right
He's
now.
like this.
Well,
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Well, that sure sounds like you should take the plea on impeachment.
But so you guys understand the policy of these people. Like, for example, the DPK, that is the party that is, going against the coup. Their foreign policy is to have a more conciliatory.
It's Democratic People of Korea, right?
Yeah.
DPK.
They have a more conciliatory policy towards North Korea. What are we talking about? It's a hermit state of communists. Like, how can you be conciliatory with the guys up north? Like, I don't understand. They're basically communists in disguise. Like, that's my take on it. So I don't trust them at all.
Ian, what do you think? You think that?
I don't have enough versing in the politics of Korea to have an informed opinion, but my first reaction is always who's actually behind the coup, who's actually behind the unrest, because intelligence aid, I just couldn't help but notice, like, it does, time to the Korean War a little bit too, but it's like also right when the CIA was founded is right when we started our list of all of these leaders that have been overthrown and couped and killed, and like Korea and Japan are both
sometimes
very
for the better
strategic and important positions in that eastern seaboard for American interests, for all these Western interests. So my first questions are who's behind the unrest and the coup, who's behind the martial law, because we've seen like leaders in South and Central America, people like Gaddafi, and people like there's all sorts of examples of leaders that were getting CIA couped that had to do something that looked like a martial law or like some sort of like protect myself against the CIA, but then the CIA can spin it or like think, and I'm just kind of using the CIA as a stand-in for sort of like the Western intelligence community. But I don't know. Those are my questions going in, and I need to do a lot more research to figure out what's really happening.
Top export from South Korea, integrated circuits. So who benefits from South Korea going south, pun intended? I'm looking to China. I'm not even looking to America.
I agree, actually, on that point, 100%.
If South Korea goes south, their number one export is integrated circuits. Number two is refined petroleum. Who picks up the pieces for a declining South Korea?
Well, let me tell you, integrated circuits is huge because it goes straight to Taiwan. Hey, there's a chart on Taiwan. This is really good. TMSC, take a look at that. This is world integrated, high-end integrated circuits. That blue is the market share of TMSC in Taiwan. So when you go take a look at China, if China takes Taiwan, China basically controls the world semiconductor market.
That's a wild chart.
That is freaking insane.
Wow.
And so I've always felt that Taiwan was not about Chiang Kai-shek, and we really like to have our property back. And right, no. Our tradition, no. It's about controlling the world semiconductors and putting spyware and all other things inside them. And so if South Korea is off that, because part of that was South Korea, just increase the blue part, which is why the Biden administration gave billions of dollars to TMSC to build a semiconductor plant in Arizona.
In AZ, that's right.
And add to that Samsung hasn't been doing well at all. Their profit, they had a record loss in 2023. Their operating profit was down 95%.
95?
Yeah, and this year it fell 34%. So like if you see that chart, they're doing even worse than that chart.
So there you have it, right? So that's why I think economics points to wars. So.
All right. Well,
Also amazing population of South Korea. Do you know what it is? Roughly, not to embarrass anybody, I put him on the spot. I had to Google it. It's shockingly low. It's 51 million population.
I was going to say 69 million.
So guess what? That's 2 Californias. What's California?
No, it's not. It's one. It's 1.25 California. California's like close to 40 now, I think. It's wild. Small country, massive integrated circuit export. China wants that and has that with Taiwan. If South Korea goes south and doesn't produce as much as they do, it'll give the impetus for China to make a move in Taiwan. Wow. Bada bing, bada boom, there you have the coup.
Boom. Oh, bada bing, I like that. Yeah. All right, moving on. Ian Carroll. What the hell is going on with Brett Cooper and Daily Wire?
This is kind of a crazy story that my friend James Lee broke like a week ago. He got a source from the Daily Wire that gave him like an inside scoop on the fact that the Daily Wire is pushing Brett Cooper out. And I was like, and I know who she is. She's great at her job. She does what she does. Yeah. And so I go and look up her channel and I'm like, wait a minute. She's still producing videos though. What's going on? Yeah. And so I started digging in more. I talked to James, then I went and I started digging in and found my own source right at the Daily Wire. And now I've had even more come and corroborate it since I reported on it. And it's not just that the Daily Wire is pushing out Brett Cooper. It's actually that Brett Cooper is under one of these contracts that has her basically tied to secrecy and silence, because now that they're terminating her contract, their arbitration clauses are coming into play. So she is in a secret court of arbitration, not a public court, where she is under NDA and can't say anything about it while they spin whatever narrative they want about it. And they're circulating around letters internally that are saying like, oh, Brett Cooper wants to leave. And that is not the case at all, apparently, according to everyone at the Daily Wire that I've spoken to. And it's that she had disagreements with Jeremy Boring over what happened with Candace, probably, and certainly more disagreements in terms of like the culture there and what's going on, and is now getting pushed out. They are promoting her best friend, who was her maid of honor at her wedding. They offered her a contract that was so lucrative she couldn't refuse it.
The best friend that her bestie was already offered.
Producer Reagan,
bridesmaid.
Yeah, her producer was her bridesmaid at her wedding this year, and they apparently allegedly gave her acting classes to help her imitate Brett's mannerisms. No. And when I was talking to a girl with the family I was staying with before, she's like an 18-year-old chick that loves Brett Cooper. She's a total super fan. And she was like, yeah, the Reagan episodes are kind of weird because she's like a clone of Brett Cooper.
Oh my!
And it's because they paid for acting classes apparently for her to. And so there's this whole thing going on behind the scenes, and Brett can't say anything. And so, like, there's even more about Jeremy Boring that I did a video about that we don't need to go into now. But basically, I made that video, and then Jeremy just circulated a letter around the Daily Wire internally that obviously leaked. I have a copy of. I'm sure lots of people have a copy of. Yeah, and I didn't want to like put the whole text up. I'm pretty sure that Jeremy meant for it to leak. Like he's not totally dumb.
Yeah.
But in it, he clearly claims in it directly that Brett Cooper wanted to leave and that this is Brett Cooper's idea and they wish her well. And that is a flat out lie. That is like directly from sources that are very familiar with the matter. That is not the case. And Brett Cooper cannot say anything, and they're forcing her out while they try to play PR to make it look like, we're just trying to do it, which is exactly the picture that Crowder painted of the Daily Wire, that Candace painted of the Daily Wire, that everyone that has worked at the Daily Wire, like in my Instagram comments right now, there's like 4 former Daily Wire employees that are all being like, yeah, it's a fucking shithole. Like, this is exactly the culture that I was talking about. I can corroborate all of this. They're just out there on Instagram saying these things because that's the culture they have there. And we were talking earlier about how like different businesses have different cultures, and it really comes down to who at the top and how are you creating culture. And it sounds like the culture there is just so toxic and so like wage slavey and like manipulative that if they haven't paid you to sign those NDAs, which many do, many actually on the way out, they pay them money to sign an NDA so they can never talk about the Daily Wire or their time there. And I have a few people that have now gotten in touch with me that did not take that money and did not sign those NDAs.
Wow.
That have nothing nice to say.
So yeah, what was their decision to let her go, like? And when is she supposed to be letting go?
So my understanding is that she was under like a permanent, like her contract did not have an expiration date. And then once I don't want to get into like the minutia of why she's going, because I don't want to like just basically upend Brett's personal life, which I don't think she needs that right now. But once it was decided that she was out and they were going to push her out and replace her, the contract runs through December. And so
this month.
Yeah, through like mid to end December. So they've been having Reagan fill in once a week and sort of like, just like, I'm producer Reagan filling in for Brett Cooper today while she's away. Like, They have not announced to anyone that Brett Cooper is leaving. They've not yet announced it to the public. And even now, when they sent this letter around, that was the first time that anyone working at the Daily Wire found out that this is what they're doing. A, that Brett's leaving, and B, which they said was her idea, and B, that Reagan is stepping up into this new role, which is actually just them offering her money to replace her best friend.
Is Brett still making content for Daily Wire right now?
Yeah, she's
still under her.
She's still making daily content and can't utter a peep. And she's total like. She's such a pro at it because when you watch, you can't tell. There's no emotion leaking through. But what I know from behind the scenes is that there's a lot going on in her life right now, and she's doing amazing at it. And so I don't want to like upend Brett's life too much, but like Jeremy Boring is apparently on a warpath against her right now, and not like, not a warpath. He's not on a Candace Owens level warpath right now because that was a whole other level, but she's getting screwed 9 ways till Sunday and getting pushed out and is not able to tell her side of the story while they spin this whole narrative as though like we're just parting ways like good friends. It's like,
what's okay? Because I've heard a lot. I mean, dude, we obviously hear a lot of stuff, especially about Jeremy Boring. I heard Jeremy Boring. I don't know.
The God King. The God King of the Daily Wire.
Now, where did he wrote that
that's his
God
own
King
title,
of
which is obviously it's self-deprecating. It's just a joke, obviously.
Yeah,
like, he's not being serious.
Yeah,
but like if we could all start referring to PBD as the God King now around here, that would really make me feel great about it. Self-deprecating, obviously.
I'm not a religious person, but there seems to be something somewhat sinful about it. Like Charlemagne,
I don't call him Charlemagne.
No, I know. Like anybody who
Albert, I don't even know what the hell his name is.
Anybody who has the audacity of even jokingly referring to themselves as not a god but God, I'm suspicious of. But this it feels a little gossipy. It is a little gossipy. I saw Jeremy from the Quartering put out a video yesterday. Like,
I saw the video.
The rumors. But it is interesting that you have very public and repeated issues with the same entity over and over again. But I mean, it might just be
a part of it that Crowder brought up so Crowder turned down a $50 million deal with them like a year ago, and there's this whole drama that went back and forth. And what Crowder was saying in that debate was that the contracts that the Daily Wire is giving out, so the Daily Wire is trying to be like the conservative voice, like the alt conservative media. And Crowder said that in the contracts that you're offering to your creators, you're making it so that if their videos get demonetized by YouTube's algorithms, they get their pay docked severely.
I remember.
And people come back at it as like, no, but they offer the uncensored version on their website, so they're not actually it's just for YouTube. That's not what's happening. What's happening is if your videos are demonetized on YouTube, doesn't matter if you give an uncensored version on dailywire.com, is that if your video got demonetized by YouTube because Daily Wire missed out on ad rev, you get your pay docked severely, regardless of the other stuff going on. So what that is, it's baking self-censorship into the Daily Wire's cake. And when you think about, the other connections the Daily Wire has and the things you're not allowed to talk about on the Daily Wire, it starts to get
like what?
Israel.
Okay.
And so there. and among some other things, but Israel. You know, everyone just watch Andrew Klavan speak about how everyone should have a dual loyalty to Israel.
No, forget. In fairness to the Daily Wire, and I think it's a problem across the platform. You can't really talk about Israel or Jews on YouTube and
That's
expect
exactly my point.
It's a bizarre thing because, like, look, I may have some controversial opinions, but I put out a couple of videos. If Israel or Jew is somewhere in the title or the description, it was like it didn't exist on the platform.
Yeah,
it was wild.
And so my point is that by this way they don't have to say it. By forcing their creators to adhere to the YouTube censorship algorithms, they are inherently forcing them to censor all those things without having to make it as Daily Wire policy. Now it's just YouTube's policy, and we're just being good business people, right? And that's just me speculating. That's just me kind of putting two and two together. But when I see it walking like a duck and talking like a duck, I'm like, you guys are not good for the conservative movement if you're trying to be the conservative voice in alt media and you're forcing all of your creators to self-censor.
Call it capitalist conservative. Conservative in theory, but very capitalist in nature in terms of how you express that conservative theory.
Yeah.
The argument's going to be it's better to get the voice, a tempered voice out there than a loud voice censored.
Yeah.
As sort of what Elon is doing in Brazil. But it is, the soft censorship and the self-censorship is one thing. But to not want to take that risk on the creators that you bring on, I can understand it as a business decision, but then I also sort of, in hindsight, understand why Crowder got so pissed off about it.
Well, what's left? What's left on the programming lineup? So let's assume
Matt Walsh.
Let's assume her friend. Let's assume her friend doesn't work because a lot of this comes out and people just decide not to watch. So you still have Walsh.
Yep. For now.
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles.
Michael Knowles.
I'm ignorant.
Klavan,
Is Jordan
did he
Peterson
leave?
still with them?
Oh, Jordan Peterson is still with them. I just forgotten about him.
Okay, so you got
'Cause,
Jordan
you know,
Peterson.
He's doing like online university stuff.
He's just so someone.
No. I'm going to start a fight. What are you thinking right now? I need to know.
Jordan Peters. So I have a very strong Israel stance, and you don't need to have my same Israel stance. But when you look at Jordan Peterson's sort of his past work about ideology and righteousness and all those things, and then you look at his stance on Israel since October 7th, and you look at and you just try to make the two square up as the same stance and the same statements, it's really hard to make the man that's all about integrity and being true to your word and doing the right thing. It's really hard to make the stance about Israel since October 7th pair up with everything else he's said in the rest of his career and vice versa. It's just like it feels very cognitive dissonance to me. And part of that has coincided with him making an extremely large deal with the Daily Wire and the photo of him with Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro having dinner and stuff like that. So it's like,
I presume your position is critical of Israel, disproportionate, pretextual response, almost to use it as an excuse to raise Gaza. And some people, others will not dare criticize because they don't want to get demonetized on YouTube and they don't want to run afoul.
Yeah, I mean, my first principle is free speech, is that we deserve a media space. We should have a media space where everyone can say whatever they want, whatever their opinion is, regardless of whether it's offensive, hate speech, does not matter. Free speech is the bedrock of all democracy and all freedom. And without that, we don't have anything. And Israel is a huge proponent of censorship. And the Daily Wire has also been a proponent of censorship in some ways like this too. And so it's like, that is not a good look in the conservative space. And that is not who you want representing conservative media. Period.
Tom, from a business standpoint, was this like the way that if this is what's happening, all things are pointing that it's probably true. As a business, from a business standpoint, from a guy that runs companies and you're a president, what's your take on how they're running the show over there?
Well, from outside looking in, I don't really see a business, right? What I see is monetized content. Where I come from, you can create a feature, you can create a product, and you can create a line of products, and you can create a company. They're all very different things. What I see is a series of products that are being monetized, and they're monetizing things like the candy bar and everything else that goes with that. And is it a business? Yes, it's a business. But I look at it and I think, well, where are you going? And how many controversies can you have?
Yep.
And to have a sustaining forward business that you say is under a mission. It's like, okay, what's your mission? And where are you going? And where are you headed there? PBD, when he created PHP, it was very clear. Saving America through free enterprise, giving people in the middle class an opportunity to be life insurance agents, specifically the lower half of the middle class, where there were so many minorities who had never been given an opportunity by the life insurance industry, which had largely ignored them. And I'm going to have 500,000 agents by 2029.
Wow.
So you sat back and said, okay, I see what he's doing. He's going to build a bunch of agents. He's going to focus on the middle class, and he's going to give the lower half of the middle class, where all these minorities haven't had job opportunities in this industry, an opportunity. Okay, let's go look at what he's doing. Hey, he's doing exactly that. 5 years later, it's even bigger, and he's doing exactly that. You see what I'm saying? So you can see it. I look at the Daily Wire, and it looks like content being monetized in a company, but I'm having a hard time with what's the line forward.
That's what I'm.
Where do they go from here?
Well, it is
because it's like Hollywood production companies. You know, you have a hit in Hollywood, and then they give you a production company, and they give you a little office on the Paramount lot. I mean, Eddie Murphy, I saw it, had a little office on the Paramount lot. I went by there after Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and what did he make? Nothing.
Nope.
Nothing that had the same commercial.
Budgets involved. Huge amounts of budgets involved. Like huge amounts of capital need to be moved to make those size of productions. Like, it's not the same as producing a podcast.
Not at all.
And Jeremy Boring knows.
And it's not a company. It's like you got this Lifetime Achievement Award, Eddie Murphy did, to go sit on the Paramount lot. By the way, so did Tom Cruise and his sister. And, you know, success over here doesn't eat sex over here. What's my point? I sound like Adam.
God forbid. God forbid.
It's that in a hit-driven business, you're monetizing content. You're not necessarily making a long-term company. And if people understand everything from valuetainment, points to Bet David Consulting, points to merch, points to the events, points to Minect.
Dude,
it's
I
all
that
integrated.
Last time I was here so clearly. It was like this light bulb went off in my head. How as Vinny was taking me around and introducing me to people and kind of touring me to the different places, I was like, bro, it's all one business.
Yeah.
But
it's like
listen
all
to me,
one
and
concept.
that's the beautiful thing here that gives us freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we have a closed system. We don't depend on the advertising outside. When the whole Russia thing happened, remember, Tom, when the whole Russian thing happened, because I gave you a proposal of like $40,000 a week. I went to Tom, I gave him a proposal of people that were ready to put money in. And then the whole Russia thing happened. And then I was like, oh, I get it. You know, like there's no liability. There's complete freedom of speech, complete control. It might be a little slower, you know, but once the thing starts working, you can do whatever you want because you have a mission in front of it. And now I'm going to flip-flop and go to the opposite side. And this doesn't come from the point that, you know, probably I have a very specific set of skills. You know, and empirically, I'm top 5 YouTube, the YouTube content distributor in the United States right now. All right. We're talking about this year, I assisted around 1.6 billion views. All right.
Oh, baby.
So there's 5 places in the world where I can work, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
There's only 5 places that I can get a job. The Daily Wire, we one of them. And then from a business standpoint, if you're a business owner and you have a particular set of ideas and whatever, you always have the golden rule. And you know what the golden rule is. Like the one who has the gold makes the rules. All right. I don't condone the behavior, but if I was a business owner and someone was getting online, and mind you, like we see it here, dealing with talent, especially Vinny, who nah, I'm joking. Dealing with talent is extremely difficult, you know, because you have a whole brand on top that you need to manage. You need to manage expectations, blowback, and keep true to your mission. Like it's a very difficult thing, you know what I mean? And especially when you're a public figure, the whole NDA thing is standard business practice because you know, like one bad statement can destroy your brand. You know.
So let me ask you a question, Ian. So what is, if you had to guess, what is Jeremy Boring's mission over there? And please answer because I know that the situation with Candace was just. From Ben, like the whole debacle really hurt them. What would you say
now let's compare it. That's a great question, Ian. And Ian, notice it. We're here to enlighten, entertain, and empower current and future leaders around the world. Enlighten, entertain, empower current and future leaders and the people that work for them around the world. That's what we do. Minect does that. Valuetainment does that. The Vault Conference does that. BDC Consulting does that. Get it? All the content we do does that. And that's the simple test. Hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? Will that enlighten or entertain or empower or both or combinations current and future leaders and the people that work for them around the world?
Yep.
Yes, it will. What that will do is do this. Okay, guess what? We'll listen to the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to just read it in Jeremy Boring's own words.
This is Jeremy Boring. You're quoting.
Do it in his voice as well.
This is an internal letter, right? I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously.
Go ahead.
This is the letter that he maybe wanted to leak. I don't know, but it's everyone's got it already. So this is just his words about what this is near the end of the letter. Empires rise and empires fall. When you're small, they root for you. When you're on top, they root against you. But remember this, it's when you're on top that you can do the most good. The Daily Wire is a force for good in this world. We do not cater to the crowd, nor do we lord over the audience. We try to be lowercase r Republicans, attempting to balance between representing and leading the movement. We don't always succeed, but we have made more of an impact than virtually anyone these last 9 years, and we ain't finished yet. To quote the Bard, Taylor Swift, haters gonna hate. I'm just gonna shake it off. Written directly into the email. Shake it off. Keep working harder. Blah blah blah.
Well, it's a good message. The only problem is I used to practice law for a good 13 years, and I was only at one law firm. I didn't bounce around, and I was loyal. But firms had cultures, and you knew that the firms that consistently had problems, had employee issues, you stayed away from them. And then you knew the ones that didn't. There was a reason for it. And so at some point, the problem is reputations begin to, precede the institutions, and these stories get out, and then you can't keep these things secret for very long, even with the best NDA. And then the only question is, if that's Jeremy Boring and the Daily Wire's, purpose in life, are they going to be able to achieve it, notwithstanding or given their own actions?
Are you treating people right? Because I got sent this by a source, but then I have like 3 people in my Instagram DMs right now offering to send me this letter as well, because that is how porous the Daily Wire is right now, because that is how poorly they treat their employees, that the only people that won't talk about how bad it is are the ones that took the money to sign the NDA on their way out and let the door swing closed after they left.
Wow. Well, thank God
And that was my experience when the Candace thing broke too, is that there was just like holes in them everywhere. And there was just like information was coming out like a fire hose, because no one has any brand loyalty to the Daily Wire, only to their security, their safety. They know that the Daily Wire is very litigious. And so people are not talking out of fear sometimes, but it's never out of loyalty in my experience.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, at this rate, they're going to be down to just Ben and Jeremy in that building by themselves.
It's
so
so funny.
Ben and Jerry.
That's right.
Ben and Jerry. That'd be a great ice
boost
cream.
tracks.
you know what's really interesting about all this? You can see examples of organizations that have been so hard and bad on humans. I mean, you take a look that right now, you know that the DNC has a union, that there's a union of political workers. No, they are.
For the DNC.
Yeah, for the DNC. And you know that they're currently completely flipped out, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do because of the number of people that were summarily, fired or laid off on November 8th, I think 3 days after you know about this?
No.
Like 3 days afterwards, there's all these people, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So all these people, DNC, were laid off. And the DNC is out there saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? The union. I'm going to find it, because this goes to what we're talking about.
Well, they should be
all of these loyalists that were working, all of these people that were working on the campaign, all these people that were working to midnight, all these folks
all
that
the grassroots
drank,
people were all fired.
Grassroots did. Yep.
Because it was never about
they
them.
should
It
be
was
grateful,
never about
They should
them.
be grateful they weren't Arkansas, because had Hillary lost, they would have all been on the list. Bada bing, bada boom.
Swim in the pool.
There it is. DNC Staff Union. DNC Staff Union is the Twitter handle. 1 day's notice, no severance. The DNC fights for workers, just not their own. Mm-hmm. And so the DNC Staff Union, apparently, because remember, if you work for the Democrats, you have to be part of a union. So it's like a law. So the people formed a union, and then we fired all of them. Oh, damn it. They're using collective bargaining against us.
Oh, no.
Damn it. I knew we shouldn't have done the union. Shh, sir, we're part of the union. It's one of the planks of the platform. Oh, okay. Close the door and let's talk about it. But that's it. They laid him off.
No loyalty among scoundrels.
Yeah, no, but
That's exactly right. As they say, well, I saw it. It was very, very funny. It was 3 of these Googlers, ex-Googlers. He says, don't be evil. You know what we say on the inside? What's that? We be weasels. Like, don't be evil. We be weasels.
I mean, loyalty works better than unions. Like, I remember the day they shot Trump. I was about to go for lunch and whatever. Instead of going for lunch, I just packed my bag and headed here. Like, I didn't need an email. I didn't need a text message. I knew what's up. Like, I work a lot with Pat, and I do it because he works harder than me, like, and you see the mission, and like, if I'm there 8 hours, Pat is going to be there 10 hours, He's going to get there before I get there. He's going to leave after I get there. He's going to, it's a different thing. Like, once you have like loyal workers, because your first customer always is the people that work with you. Like, I know my guys, I hope I'm right, they will take a bullet for me. Like, I have a team of 3 that do the distribution of all the content here. And if I need them on a weekend, if I need them later, or if I need them on a weird day or whatever, they will do it, And they do call me Supreme Leader sometimes.
I'm not. All right, guys, I have to move on to the next story. Viva. So the COVID theories that we were all talking about, they're actually reality right now.
Well, speaking of culture and mission statements, the mission statement at Viva Frei is just to put on blast the truth and these mother effers who need to go to jail.
He's the main one. He's the main one.
So it just, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news cycle. It's tough to keep up. They just pardons,
martial law,
layoffs, martial law in South Korea, and this
CEO shot in front of the Hilton in New York.
Well, that I hadn't even gotten to that one yet. I'm going to look into that, but
this just in.
No, so just this select report committee just drops, and it's a massive 500-page plus document from the select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic that they've been researching, investigating, looking into for it was started in February 2023. And they just, discreetly disclosed this report. It's unreadable because it's too massive, it's too voluminous. But you get, I skimmed through it and I got an AI summary and whatever, but you skim through the executive summary and the table of contents, and it's mind-blowing that it confirms basically each and every theory that was written off as anti-vax conspiracy theory from the get-go. We're going to start with one video, which is going to be Rand Paul. That's Ron Paul.
That's Rand.
Rand Paul. Rand. It's Paul. It's Senator Paul, the younger Paul. Asking a question to Fauci, because you do remember back in the day, you couldn't say when you were self-censoring on YouTube that it originated in a lab in Wuhan, China.
Yeah, of course.
Conspiracy theory. Racist, by the way.
Racist.
New York Times article. Yeah. You couldn't say that it was the result of gain-of-function research.
Because it came from China.
No, well, watch it. Let's refresh everybody's memory about Fauci totally not lying under oath to Congress.
Okay.
Roll the tape if I can. I'll pull a Keemstar. Roll it.
Rat.
Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans. This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize this, defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as the Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is high-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature. This research matches, these are Dr. E. Bright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research, done entirely in Wuhan.
Listen to what Fauci
for which there was supposed to be a federal pause. Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement.
Listen to what
this paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function.
So
let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying
you take a virus and make it more transmissible.
Correct.
What do you call that?
And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially.
Oh, say it
you
officially.
Do not know.
Look at he's looking at his Democrats.
You don't know what you're talking about. Look, just because we gamed its functions to be more transmissible, to go from animals to human, doesn't mean it's gain. It is gain of function.
By definition.
By definition. Yeah. But you're going to see it. It's one of the 10 or 11 points in this executive summary that it was. And now you got, you're going to go from Fauci being, I think he was head of NIH, to now Jay Bhattacharya being appointed to lead the NIH. And you're going to go from a pathological liar lying under oath to people discovering the truth, which is now being slowly leaked out, or not leaked, but disclosed to the public to make it more palatable so that they don't get shocked when it comes out altogether and say, well, we told you about this a little while ago.
And it's important to translate for the audience real quick. Gain of function is a word no one had heard before COVID. Gain of function research is the development of bioweapons by our covert military industrial complex.
Wow.
That is it's the point of gain of function research is take regular viruses and make them into deadly super viruses that can infect humans, can spread, and
like put them on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
No, but allow them to be transmitted from animals to humans, because it's not always, when they make that jump in nature, there's other evolution going on. When they make that jump as a result of splicing together whatever they do, I mean, there's no natural immunity to that. That's when it becomes a very serious thing.
And no version of this that is good for us. There's no gain of function that makes us healthier or happier.
No, but they've got to do it in order to develop the vaccine should the enemies do it.
Exactly.
And by the way, when they say the pause on gain of function, that's because it was rendered illegal in America, and so they outsourced it to China, and frickin' Fauci knew about it, and frickin' Fauci lied about it. We'll play one more refresher of memories of people who need to go to jail.
This guy?
Because we're talking about, remember during the COVID pandemic, the response, they locked down children, they shut down schools, they
put masks on these little kids.
They put masks, quarantine, all this stuff. And at the time, because people are young enough to remember the Great Barrington Declaration written by a bunch of heretics, crazy doctors, they said, this is going to do more harm than good. Well, the select subcommittee's report comes out and says it did more harm than good. Yeah. But listen to what's his face here? Satan
public enemy number 2.
Bill Gates talk about the impacts of shutting kids out of school. But don't worry, it won't impact his kids because they're in private school.
Go ahead.
About, for example, school shutdowns. To this day, there's still arguments about how many cases that avoided. It's pretty clear because young people don't get sick from the disease very often.
Then why jab them?
Probably, if we knew everything we know today, we would have shut schools down a lot less than we did during this pandemic. I mean, yes, it's tricky for the elder adults. It's tricky in a lot of ways.
And you mean by that high school and under?
Exactly. Yeah. For college, going virtual tends to work awfully well. The infection levels are a little higher as you get up into that age group.
I was just
the CIA
gave him
the CIA gave him
learning deficit.
Listen to this part. This is
that will take us a long time to erase that. And sadly, it's a deficit where the inner city is
minorities.
Almost 2 years. Suburban schools less. Private schools, in some cases, like my kids, almost no deficit at all.
Yeah, because they're very fortunate. Very fit the frog, and I'm a demon.
Can I bring a point up about this that is especially sick? Like, I mean, I love older people, but the way they handle the pandemic, for them to, like, if you're 60, 70, 80 with comorbidities,
stay home.
They handled everything. Like, they destroy children's life. They will never get back those years, the most important years in your life. And if you see the charts, all right, kids less than 20, like it was less than 1%. Less than anyone under 20 had a less than 1% chance. Like, was more likely to get in a car accident going to school, and they locked them all up.
All by design.
Yeah. Under 35, it was like minimal. Until like 65, the chance of you dying from it, like, they were minimal. But what do we have? We have a ruling class that is all of them are over 65, so they make the rules for them. And who's gonna pay back for this? Like, this just like it's
no. And a couple of things. First of all, the WHO with who's the lead? That guy, Tedros, whatever.
A communist.
Communist? I don't want any of these people in charge of anything that has to do with our health. Who gave Bill Gates the authority? By the way, you make computers. Who the hell gave him the thumbs up? You mentioned the CIA.
Jeffrey Epstein did.
Well, how did that happen?
Well, Jeffrey Epstein, the CIA, all these covert groups, they're very interested in technocratic authoritarianism and in developing technological ways to come into our freedoms, to observe us, surveil us, to monitor us. And so COVID brought in a whole bunch of health monitoring, health data tracking, all sorts of. It started to normalize all these things that we did not used to be comfortable with. In the same way that the Patriot Act, 9/11 gave precedent for all these new types of surveillance. And Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of people talk about the sex trafficking, but not a lot of people talk about his huge investments and interest in mostly Israeli, but just in tech startups in general, like Carbine 911. A lot of tech startups, like Peter Thiel type startups that are interested in pre-crime and in predictive policing and all these surveillance technologies. And COVID, and I'm not saying that Jeffrey Epstein was in charge of COVID. I'm just making a joke about Jeffrey and Bill Gates. But like you over and over, you see the people that are in charge of the responses to things like this just happen to also be aligned with this sort of like deep state technocratic sort of one world government, WHO, WEF groups.
Oh, you cannot disagree with that, unfortunately. But
no, you can't, because it's true.
No, and now wait until we get into what was confirmed in the executive summary and fleshed out in detail on this. We could skip over the tweet and just go to the first page of that letter here. Go, if you can bring up the first page, and we'll go through these one by one.
Go ahead.
And you're just going to understand we were lied to all along. But they knew. It's not that they didn't know, because people were saying these things from the get-go. I have to take my glasses off so I can read this, because I'm an old man. Here, number one on the list. By the way, it's the guy who authored this is a doctor, Brad Wenstrup.
Okay.
He's a doctor, a podiatrist, not a pediatrician. Not a pediatrician.
Isn't that a foot doctor?
Yes, it's a foot doctor, but he's a doctor, and he headed up the subcommittee. They go over how many people they did depositions, they wrote investigative letters. I'm just going to read what they now confirm in this letter. The first thing they say is the possibility that COVID, by the way, bipartisan consensus of this bipartisan committee agree on these findings. The possibility that COVID emerged because of a laboratory or research-related accident is not a conspiracy theory. Number one, people were deplatformed in 2020 for saying that. Eco Health Alliance and Peter Drazak, doctor, should never again receive taxpayer dollars. That's an easy one. Yep. Scientific messaging must be clear, concise, backed by evidentiary support, and come from trusted experts such as frontline doctors treating patients. Why is this one so offensive? Because they banned medications that doctors, practitioners were prescribing to their patients.
Joe Rogan, was he
extremely safe medication?
Extremely safe. World class.
Ivermectin is safer than ibuprofen, according to every doctor.
The miracle drug. They banned doctors from prescribing it. They took away their licenses. They prohibited pharmacists from filling those prescriptions. Yeah. But now they're saying, oh, we should have been listening to them, because that's how medicine is practiced. It's a practice like law on an individual basis between the professional and their patient or client, not top-down directions. Ban HCQ, ban ivermectin. All right, let's keep going here, because it gets even better. Public health officials must work to regain America's trust. Americans want to be educated, not indoctrinated. This is coming from the letter from the Select Subcommittee, bipartisan consensus. It gets even better. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo participated in medical malpractice and publicly covered up the total number of nursing home fatalities in New York.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. You know who else did that, by the way? And I'll give you... Gretchen Whitmer did the same thing.
Yeah.
Forcing nursing homes to...
Really?
Whoa. It's a total cool whip.
Whoa.
Forcing these nursing homes to take in COVID-positive patients, which ravaged nursing homes. 80% of the deaths and illnesses were gravitating around nursing homes. Yeah. In Cuomo's case, he immunized the executives before requiring them to take COVID-positive patients back in, then covered it up. That's called covering up murder. Yep. In no uncertain terms. It gets better. It gets better. Then you got some other ones here where they say the U.S. National Institute of Health funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The Chinese government, agencies within the U.S. government, and some members of the international scientific community sought to cover up facts concerning the origins of the pandemic. Go back to Tetrahedros, whatever the hell his name is. The WHO. Yeah. These globalist institutions, unelected globalist institutions that were dictating policy at a national level that was killing people and crippling children, were responsible for covering up the fact that it originated from China.
Nancy Pelosi walking around Chinatown. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Like, no, come, it's safe. No, but and I want you to finish that.
Yeah, okay.
I have something.
No, I like the next one that's not circled in red.
There's a good reason for that. Operation Warp Speed.
Show the chart. Every time you bring.
Oh, we'll do that. You know what we'll do it now because it's the only one I didn't because it required such an explanation. Operation Warp Speed was a tremendous success and a model to build upon in the future. The vaccines, which are now probably better characterized as therapeutics. Undoubtedly saved millions of lives by diminishing the likelihood of severity of disease and death. Let's just pause there for a second.
Yeah.
Or reducing the duration of a viral infection, unlike Joe Biden, who said, "Get the vaccine, you won't get sick."
Same as Rachel Maddow.
It is. What's even worse is that back in the day, if you referred to it as a therapeutic, they called you an anti-vaxxer. There were fact checks saying, no, it's not a therapeutic. It's a vaccine, even though it doesn't prevent contracting or transmitting the virus. They changed the definition of vaccine so that this would be qualified as a vaccine under the new definition that basically defines it as a therapeutic. What really pisses me off is the kissing the ass of Operation Warp Speed. It wasn't a tremendous success. It was bastardized. It was weaponized. Whether or not the jab saved millions of lives, if it saved millions of lives, potentially, but then, eliminated years, if not decades, from young men who got it and contracted whatever illness.
And is now causing DNA damage and DNA. Do you know about the studies with DNA?
Yes,
They're finding DNA particles. I've questions out.
I've had Jessica Rose on, PhD, a number of times on my channel. She went over this in detail. But the bottom, look, it's what's the word? Statistics. Oh, it saved millions of lives. If it killed more and if it removed more life years than it saved, it's not a success. Operation Warp Speed was never supposed to be a one-size-fits-all vaccine for kids who don't have any real risk of contracting it, even according to, what's his face? Bill Gates. But scientist Bill Gates. Then we'll run through the rest. Rampant fraud, economic side of this. Rampant fraud, waste, and abuse plagued COVID-19 pandemic response. No shit, Sherlock. Pandemic-era school closures will have an enduring impact on generations of America's children, and these closures were enabled by groups meant to serve those children. I don't want to name any one person in particular. What's her name? Weinstock? Weinstein? The head of the teachers union. Weingarten. Weingarten. These unions that were there to protect and educate children were covering their own asses out of fear of an exaggerated fear of an illness and damaged the generation of children they were supposed to teach, treat, and protect.
Yeah, go. I want you to finish.
Yeah, last
mind you, all by design, but go ahead.
The Constitution, and some of us have been saying this from the beginning, does not include a virus exception. That's not what it says. It says the Constitution cannot be suspended in times of crisis and restrictions on freedoms sow distrust in public health. And the last one, the prescription cannot be worse than the disease, such as strict and overly broad lockdowns that led to predictable and anguish and avoidable consequences.
Avoidable consequences go back to item 5 above.
Yeah, and okay, so hearing all of that, and follow me for a second.
It makes me want to personally lock mother effers up in jail because predictable and avoidable means they knew at the time, they concealed it knowingly because that's part of one of the messages.
Of course.
Propaganda, censorship, and the technocracy suppression of any form of free speech and demonized.
So, and just from, we get it, from the CIA, from JFK to where we are, just watching what they've done this past 4 years. When I hear that, I go all the way back to the timing. Okay, so the lab that was opened under who? Was it under Obama in Wuhan? So think about the timing. Trump is a shoo-in to win again. All of a sudden, like I'm talking about all facets, this thing comes out of a lab that we own, and in lockstep, Fauci's already in there. He's a part of these freaking people. It's almost as if it was planned to go exactly, because think about what they got. They got lockdowns. They got to tell you what to do because they love doing that shit.
Voting.
Mail-in voting. That's how they stole it.
Listen to all these things. And for people to be like, you're out of your mind. No, you're ignorant and you're foolish for not thinking that this could all happen on accident. Besides that, then they have this drug that comes out that everybody has to take. They lockstep tell pharmaceuticals, you can't, ivermectin, it's a horse thing. It's a horse dewormer. Color Joe Rogan's face.
Painted Joe Rogan.
They painted him like green.
Yeah.
And then look about that. And now they have immunity over that thing. Fauci has freaking protection from the CIA. I'm sorry, from the Secret Service for the rest of his life. All the stuff that you said, everything, in my opinion, was all set up from the beginning to where they are right now, and they all have immunity.
You didn't even mention George Floyd and the BLM riots, which were also not organic.
Because then you're allowed.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because
to foment more tension, to foment more division, to foment more chaos.
Because here's the thing. And so you mean to tell me, great point, in this past 4 years, no cops have shot or killed an innocent black person? Bull
they've
crap.
tried.
You just haven't seen it on mainstream media. It's happened. White people have been getting murdered by cops. Black people, where is it? Where's the footage? All of a sudden, for 4 years, not one cop killed a black
They're all
person.
saints.
They're all saints.
Do you remember the article in the New York Times when there was a BLM protest? And this is the headline: "Are protests dangerous? What experts say may depend on who's protesting."
Give me a
what.
freaking break, bro.
But the fact that you could not even mention the China connection when
you still they still haven't definitively said we know it came from China. We know
that's
it.
a question for Viva. What does it mean practically? You know how many times I've done, because YouTube has a sensitivity training. Every time you break this
sensitivity training.
I've done it 11 times.
You're very sensitive. You're very sensitive.
I've done because whenever you get a strike for this, I've done it 11 times. I can do it in my sleep. What does this mean? Does it mean that I don't have to take sensitivity training
means
anymore?
that the platforms...
Is this enforceable?
It means that the platforms partook in censorship and disinformation. It means that the government did. It means that the media did. It means that they need to be held accountable. And I do believe this is sort of doing it. Well, I mean, this is a first step right now. Everything in there, just understand, they confirmed everything that was called a conspiracy theory that people were deplatformed for, demonized for, censored.
And the damage is done. The damage is done.
A generation of children now that are going to have lasting learning deficits.
Oh, 100% reading, communication, whatever. Why did they leave natural immunity out of this?
That's a good question. I mean, it's maybe that one's
and the dancing. Oh my God!
No, I had the Fauci where he was talking about natural immunity, but it was sort of not related to that list. But the bottom line, they've confirmed their own criminality. And now the only question is anybody actually going to be held to account?
Nuremberg 2.0, please.
All that you said, that I said from the beginning of 2016, all that stuff. If this was a movie, you know what you would say? Oh, yeah, that Fauci guy, all these guys, they're all in on it. And Tom, just off of your story, breaking news, the United Healthcare shooter reportedly used a suppressor on his pistol. That's not a vagrant homeless guy.
Look at the picture of him.
A suppressor. That means it was a hit in New York.
Look at the picture. It was a pro hit.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, last story. Wow. We got to move on this one.
It's a $400 tax stamp to get a suppressor.
Oh, it's not. You think it's easy in New York with the gun laws? No, that guy's.
Yeah, New York has strict guns.
Why do you need? What's the rationale of having a suppressor in a public murder? At least nobody's going to hear it that loud when you shoot him in broad daylight.
Hey, I think that guy just shot somebody.
No, that was a car backfire.
Well, it gives you more time to get away.
Clown world.
I actually can't wait to look at it because I want you to do your story so I can go look at it. All right, next story. Humberto, Pokémon Go. I'm so mad that I even had to say that word.
All right, hey guys in the back, please run the real story. Okay, go.
Ian Carroll goes back. Oh no!
That's
what the hell is that?
I'm exposing him.
Dude,
right
he's my friend. Ian, that's hilarious. Dude, that's amazing. Ian, he sent me that because I did the headshot. By the way, I completely forgot that you're going to do that. Is that your office, Ian? What are you doing?
Bro, don't show them my office photos.
We do not have
bro. Of which we are aware.
I thought that was incompetence, man. I thought that was just
he said that, but I can't believe you're. Was it the CIA?
Bro.
Oh my God, Ian! Because Ian sent me photos for the thumbnail.
That's the face I make when you betray me, Vinny. That's the face I make. When you
All right, okay, back to the normal stuff.
I'm waiting for him. It's like a spokesman.
Yeah,
do not have a report of which we are publicly aware.
Dude, I've got to get a suit for this weekend, bro.
I got you. We're gonna go. All right, so go ahead.
All right, tracking you everywhere you Pokémon Go. That is Connor in the back. Best puns.
Connor, you're amazing.
Minect him for puns.
Yeah, Minect him. He's a good guy.
All right, so this I thought to do a fun story, but this has a lot of death and killings in it, so it's gonna be fun. So let's go to the fact. You know, like we need to play this video. Like,
so what's the story about? Pokemon Go's doing what right now?
Pokemon Go. Let me cook, Vinny.
Oh, well, we didn't know what that. You said Pokemon Go and there's murders, and then they're showing Hillary Clinton.
Dude, exactly. That's the suspense, bro. That's how you cook.
Go ahead, cook. My bad.
Oh God.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go.
Look at her.
Children.
But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Oh God. Oh God.
All right.
Look at Tim Kaine. Look at the Tim Waltz of Hillary Clinton in the back. Tim. Yeah.
By the way, the only thing worse than that was what's his name, Chris Christie, saying they're going to call him Donald Duck Trump. Oh shoot, I screwed it up. Donald Trump Donald Duck.
Donald
They're gonna-
Duck.
That
the
pun was
ducky
as bad as
questions.
Chris Christie's Donald
But
Duck.
anyhow, in that video, it makes it even funny because she's lying. Okay, she was like, I don't know who created Pokemon Go. Everyone knew.
Everyone
All right,
knows.
this is really funny. Before we get into it, this is a live tracker. You can go to Pokemon Go deathtracker.com.
What? Show this.
And
See this?
yeah, I'm serious.
Is this where like the kids in Nigeria went to that minefield by accident and they were out there? And
Oh, governments are getting involved in this. All right, 25 people killed. 63 people injured. You can go online, Pokemon Go deathtracker.com, and you can check it in real time. Some of the incidents are fairly recent. You know, the last one is for 2024.
Read a couple.
Let me see.
Dude, it's gonna be challenging Hillary Clinton.
This
here
would
pretty
not
soon.
include.
Give it another couple of years.
Hillary's gonna get a run for her money over here, guys.
It's on the
This would not include someone who
International
gets
Accidental
murdered while.
Death Leaderboard.
It doesn't include that.
Yeah.
Okay, the latest one was man fatally shot attacker after being punched and robbed while playing Pokemon Go.
Oh man, they put him in the hood.
Yeah, what else? Man shot and killed while playing Pokemon Go with a 7-year-old daughter at Park Evanston. Jesus. There's a bunch, like a bunch.
Well, but now I'm actually surprised if
I'm
it
waiting for the
includes
one
murder.
is
like walks into traffic.
18-year-old walks in on mob lunch.
Yeah,
You know,
it just said one was he got murdered,
holding a camera phone up.
Murdered where?
was shot
Murdered where?
9
Ian?
times from
murdered in
6
Mexico.
angles.
Murdered in Mexico.
Which to me sounds like he walked into the wrong neighborhood with a phone out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah.
like this. You walk.
Yeah,
up
I'm
like
looking
that.
for a Charizard. They're like, "What's up, puto?" And you're dead.
Yeah.
So guys, the thing
There's a skit in there.
has gotten so bad that the actual government of Bosnia had to, like put a statement out for people to not play Pokemon Go because they have.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. They have landmines fields.
Landmines?
Yeah, from the Bosnian War.
That's
of
hilarious.
1994. And people were
No,
getting.
it's not. Kids were walking out. Into
Oh,
these
kids. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
but
because
this
they're
is the whole
too young.
issue.
They don't know there was a
This
war.
is
Like,
the whole
you
issue of America authorizing Ukraine to use landmines now. Apparently, the issue is that there's a reason why they're banned by all international treaties.
I'm very
Operation Red Mist.
Look, I'm very pro mine. Personally,
You're pro mine.
I'm pro mine.
So like in your yard and
for
stuff.
example, it's the most effective way to keep a border closed. Chile, for example, we had all our north border where all the immigrants come in. It was all mined, and it worked for years. We kept our population in check. Nobody would walk in. And then after that accord, I think it was 2001, they had to demine the whole north of Chile, and then we got an influx of immigrants, like out of this world.
Oh, so we should mine the southern border.
Yeah.
Got you. 'Cause if they know that it's there, they won't even try to come.
You put the signs up, and you.
I put more sharks in the water.
And then the CIA does a news op about how they lost the server, and we don't know exactly where all the mines are now.
That's it, Tom. I agree.
We had all the plans. They were on that hard drive in Phil's office. And, had that
gone.
flood that happened, and
Yeah.
now we don't know where the mines are.
All right.
Everybody be like, ooh, don't go
For
there.
everyone that don't know where I'm going, I pulled the permissions of like common apps. All right. This is Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram.
Whoa.
All right. I'm gonna go Pokemon Go. Camera, yes. Contacts. What do you need contacts for Pokemon Go? Yes. Contact messages is a no. Then we have device ID, yes. So they know exactly who you are. Location, yes, all the time. Even if you're not playing the game, your location is on to the exact point where you are. Memory,
I
yes.
thought you had that little thing where it says "Ask app not to spy."
Yeah.
Not available.
Not available.
When the spies developed the app,
Memory,
not
yes.
available.
Device type, yes. Activity recognition, all right? This gets really dark. So they don't only know your where you are, and they know your biometrics because this connects to your health tracking app, all right?
Yeah.
So if we go to the next thing, and this one things start getting dirty. This is the blog from Niantic. Okay, these guys are the guys that run the app. Okay, when you download the app, it's made by Niantic, and they posted this blog like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, bragging about what they were doing with the data that we're collecting. Jeez. So the people that were doing Pokemon Go, they were bragging about this new 3D AI mapping model. Jeez. All right. So all the information that you gave them, all the tracking,
they're like, ha.
And
gotcha.
That's why the cartel kept shooting Pokemon Go players because they don't want their spot getting mapped.
There you go, bro. Yeah, exactly.
And now you go like, okay, big deal, free enterprise. The guys found a niche. They did the app. It's all good. They can sell their data because they're the owners of the data. They created it. And now it's going to take a dark turn towards the CIA. this guy right here.
He looks so nice, though.
He's super nice. John Hanke, all right? He used to work for an organization called In-Q-Tel. Have you guys
In-Q-Tel, I've heard of it.
Have you guys heard about it? Okay, In-Q-Tel,
yeah.
they do the funding for things that could be, that's a website. They're open about it. This is out in the open. They
don't give a shit anymore.
Crap.
No, yeah, they're the CIA's investment.
Yeah, it's like an angel
CIA
investor, venture capital.
They're the Peter Thiel of the CIA.
Well, Peter Thiel is CIA, and he was funded by In-Q-Tel.
Yeah, he was founded by In-Q-Tel.
Yeah,
weird.
that's how
I just
Palantir was
did a
founded.
random name and
Wait,
weird.
go back a little. Matter of fact, Google Maps, the most popular map app, it was funded by In-Q-Tel, and then the company was called Keyhole.
Yep.
And then
Keyhole.
Keyhole.
Go figure.
Then it's funny. And then the CIA took over it, and then they sold it to Google. So like they're all intertwined. Like if you start reading about it, they're
And all three of the Google founders were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So
weird.
Google
always
is a whole.
Yeah, it always goes back to him.
So basically, Kids app, Pokemon Go, all right? The founder of the company used to work for the CIA. Then he was working with In-Q-Tel, and then he was working at Keyhole. He makes this new thing, and then they make an AI model that could be used for intelligence. So they duped the whole world. Here, if you pull it up, this is the map. All right, this is a map of how much they got done.
Damn.
All right,
that's a lot of people.
I'm moving to Brazil.
Yo, so wait, is that Africa's not Pokemon Go? They're running from freaking lions.
Russia's looking good.
Russia looks dark.
Yeah.
But it seems to be really much
Africa
more...
doesn't have time for this bull
Look at
crap. They're
Japan.
like, go
Are you
away
playing
from
Pokemon
Man is
Go?
fucked up.
But wait a minute.
I'm running from a cheetah, and I'm losing.
But Canada is not on it at all.
That's because there's no people north of the first 10 miles of Canada.
It's a little bit of Canada there. Like
There's a surprising
No,
amount, actually.
that up on the top left, is that not Alaska?
That's Alaska.
Yes.
But the thing
the
is that
lights-
almost all the population of Canada
Yeah,
is
it's
just
within
in that
15
one
miles
little
of the
strip.
border.
yeah, and it's right there.
But there seems to be a very clear demarcation of the east coast of America
Yeah.
compared to the west coast.
Well, that's the rain shadow right there in the middle.
I would love to have another map to
I love maps.
I love maps and charts.
So fun.
But
Well, there's a new one coming to you, brought to you by the CIA and Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
when you see this red spot, you don't understand the amount of information they have on every single tracking point there. Like we're talking about, they're using AR technology, all right?
Yeah.
And most of the iPhones now, they have LiDAR sensors that are also part of this. So they can 3D map everything that you pointed your phone at. So they know where you work, they know where you sleep. They have
The insides of buildings.
Insides of buildings, all right? I didn't bring up the story.
Cool. I never even thought about this angle of you allowing your camera to access what you're watching.
360 degrees everywhere you're
300
going.
And
Now watch this.
Go.
Put a pair of goggles, VRs, on an assassin.
Yep.
And he's sent out to take care of you. And he knows exactly what the inside of your house looks like and everything like this. And the VR goggles guide him to the target being you.
Yeah, maybe it
And
might be like a guy,
actually,
a
he's
healthcare
flying
guy.
a drone.
Dark real fast.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, but that's the capability. That is the end game here.
I mean, it's actually, the way you describe it, it's like being in the Matrix, where you don't ever have to have visited the room before to know every layout of the room.
And do you know the Hunter Seeker from the Dune stories? They have these things called Hunter
Yeah,
Seekers, which is
little-
their assassination drones.
Yeah.
Which is basically just like a microscopic drone that has a little poison needle. It's like
Yeah.
like what's stopping. I'm sure that our intelligence agencies already have micro drone technology.
Oh, they do, dude. What do you mean?
Yeah.
There's helicopters in Miami that were dumping freaking little baby fake mosquitoes. They're fake. Bro.
So
let me explain
we're
something.
entering into a weird world.
I learned a lot when I was in the military
we're
about
right
just the
here.
G. Like you're on like G. What's our phones on?
5G.
5G. You have any idea what the military is using? So great point.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the hell, how advanced these people are.
A
for murdering.
bumblebee poison assassin drone
Yeah.
that can
that is
navigate.
fed
homing.
information.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Go ahead, Connor. What are you gonna say?
Just jump in real quick to give you all the unpleasant reminder that Roomba started selling spatial data a
Yep.
couple years ago.
What?
So as you let your little robot vacuum your house, it could be just used
Vacuuming
for
So they're
their
mapping.
data.
So that little, dude, I argue with that thing all the freaking time. Now it's dead. Now when I go home, that thing's gonna die.
Your cars also share data too. Cars have data transmission happening all the time.
The last thing that my Roomba will have uploaded to the internet will be it dragging my dog's turd around the house for an extended period of time. No joke, that thing went right in the garbage. We never got it.
Oh man, I'm so glad I have a wife. She might be a spy, but
she might be a spy,
but she's not a Roomba.
But she's not a Roomba.
Can identify between shit.
Well, give it a few years, and you can actually buy an Optimus wife from Elon from Tesla, and we're just going to be buying the robots and inviting them into our homes, and hopefully they never start.
Yeah, and they never send like a a little signal where that thing turns on you and goes, "You can't leave." Yeah, martial law by the robots.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I love Elon and everything that he's doing, but Elon's too good. Like Elon's to the point where I've had family members going, "Dude, I love this guy. Is he the Antichrist?" I go, "Well, whoever it's going to be is going to come in and be doing really nice things, and all of a sudden they're going to go, hey, gotcha." Yeah. But Humberto, that's it.
I mean, I want to get your take on it, but
What do you think? Well, I mean, I know Ian's
I'm
take.
with you, dude. Yeah, that's creepy and wild. I knew a little bit about it as I was coming, and I think that we are moving towards a world where augmented reality is just the nature of digital space, and that's cool if you are only optimistic and don't look at all the evil that it brings.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping it can integrate it with like public blockchain and decentralized blockchain technologies to sort of give crowd control over this stuff. But inevitably, we're entering into such gnarly.
I'm fucking
territory.
terrified. I hadn't
terrified.
thought about a lot of these.
I'm terrified.
I hadn't
Like,
thought about the
have you
sex
guys-
robots becoming your lockdown masters.
Oh, what do you mean? Like it's
Oh, wait a minute. What if the sex robot has concealed inside of it
little pin
1 cc
Oh my God.
of strychnine?
Oh,
Just
That's
one,
it.
Yeah.
until it's time for you to go.
wow.
What if every single one of them had that built in? Just a little.
Or and that, well, not even that.
All
What
they
if-
do is go bing.
Yeah, or because that's a lot. What
Well,
if
if
it
I'm-
just it just opens his mouth, just like in the movie Doom, where just a little mist comes out and it's not gonna get affected.
Odorless, tasteless.
Odorless, tasteless. You're in the house, it's like I'm spraying Febreze, and it's not Febreze.
not
It's your
Febreze.
death. You're done, bro.
Well, look, on the plus side, if I'm going to get killed by a robot, I'd rather be done by strychnine, like pinprick, than have that robot violently murder. Like, you have time to die now.
Oh.
Like,
God.
I don't want to fight a robot.
Or, but
Make
you said
it
it's a
quick.
sex robot, or you're having sex with it, and it's like, now you must die, but finish. And doesn't even let you finish.
I mean, we're literally on
Commence
Terminator movie.
snuff
That's
flick.
what it is.
Turn on this is for my pleasure. I want the camera on. I'm recording
Everyone's
this
seen the movie.
and then it starts a business.
Oh, God. Has everyone seen the movie Euro Trip? Because that scene when he's like,
Of
I am a
course.
robot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I picture, except it's murdering you while having sex.
Oh,
Gross.
Dude, I love that we just went off the rails.
And some sick one of these elites is gonna buy the tape. Anyhow, so that was my story, compelling and rich. You know,
I mean, well, guys,
terrified.
Everybody's stories were freaking good, from martial law to Daily Wire to Dr. Dude, last thing, because I want to end, because we have to wrap up right now. Tom, who would be in charge under this administration to go after a Dr. Fauci? Who is it? Who is it? Is it the AG?
It would be the AG, so it would be
gonna be the
Pam
AG.
Bondi in theory.
I pray
Could have been Matt Gaetz.
could have been Matt Gaetz, and I heard about that whole situation. That's a whole nother situation we get into. But Ian, thank you so much for being
You
here.
can
brother.
still name him special prosecutor about
He
it.
can still be special prosecutor, which I won't be mad about. But thank you guys all that are here. Connor, Jeremy in the back, Jake, and all you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys want to get some Angry Patriot gear, that was it. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please take a second, subscribe right now.
But despite it all, the future looks bright, because if you're armed by what goes dark, then you can be a force to slow it down, put the right people in place, and do everything you can. It won't be easy. It's not simple. You may feel like you're losing the war, but the future looks bright, but you got to stand up and do something about it, because if you just wait,
Yeah, this
Guess
isn't a freaking sideline sport. You got to get your ass involved. But and when are we? We're back Friday.
We're back Friday.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you. Love each other. Take care of each other. God bless you guys, and we will see you guys on Friday. Peace and love.
Booyah.
All right.